Cape Cod Broadcasting weaves the listening environments of 99.9 WQRC, Ocean 104.7, WFCC Classical 107.5, Cape Country 104, and CapeCon.com's website experience to reflect the lifestyles of the people who live, work, and play on Cape Cod. We hope that you enjoy this podcast.
And welcome into the Sunday Journal. I'm your host, Matt Pitta. Thanks for being with us today on this edition of the program. We get together each week to talk about issues that are facing Cape Cod, the islands, and all of southeastern Mass. Welcome into the Sunday Journal today. A real fun event is coming up on Saturday, September 26th in Orleans. It is the ClamBQ, the Orleans Food and Music Festival. Gets underway on Saturday, September 26th from 11:30 in the morning to 6 p.m. The expanded festival has outgrown its original location at the Oddfellows Hall, and it'll be held on the field at Eldridge Park for the first time. It's a real fun event, and as I said, it's the fourth annual. Let's welcome in our two guests today to talk about the ClamBQ. Am I saying that right? Noelle Pina. Noelle is the Executive Director of the Orleans Chamber of Commerce.
Yes, you're definitely saying it right.
The ClamBQ.
Yes.
All right. And also with us in studio today is the Chair of the Orleans Chamber of Commerce, Chairman of the Board, Erik Oliver, also a committee member and helping to plan the event. Erik, a pleasure to meet you. Thanks for coming in studio today.
Hey.
Appreciate it very much.
Thank you for having me, Matt.
All right. Noelle, I'll start with you. ClamBQ. ClamBQ.
Yes.
What's this all about?
So the name came from our idea to celebrate two things that Cape Codders like: clam bakes and great barbecue.
I like that.
Yeah. So the committee, the name sounded strange. We put it together so it would be a differentiator compared to all the other events. And then the tagline, we titled it the Orleans Food and Music Festival, because that's exactly what it is. We invite area restaurants to come. We have 3 local bands playing that day, and it's a really fun time. People are there from usually midday until 6 o'clock, 5 o'clock, and they enjoy themselves the entire time they're there.
How did it all come about? So this is their 4th annual.
Right.
What was the idea behind this? I mean, how did it all come about?
Well, the committee, the board at the time, we had just worked with the Arts Foundation to turn over the Pops in the Park to the Arts Foundation. The Chamber used to plan that event, and we wanted to have an event that would happen at the start of the shoulder season. So September 26th is why we picked that date. And I guess Erik can talk a little bit more about how the clam bakes came on board, because he's one of our bake masters.
Well, again, in keeping with the Cape Cod theme, we wanted to have a food and music festival that would sort of celebrate the end of the season for the locals, have something to offer for people that maybe wouldn't plan on being in Orleans at the end of September, and bring some people into town and hopefully let them discover the great shopping opportunities as well as all the excellent restaurants after the event, which is why we chose to end it at 6 p.m. so that families could go out and actually discover Orleans.
You know, once we get past the Labor Day weekend, which we have just done, as we sit here in our discussion, a lot of towns, organizations try to come up with different events to try to, if you will, keep the summer season going. We call it the so-called shoulder season here in the Cape. And we had Wendy Northcross in here, your colleague from the Cape Cod Chamber, Noelle, and she said in many ways we try to think that Columbus Day is the new Labor Day when it comes to doing business. So as an organization which is to promote business and the economy specifically for your town on the Lower Cape, talk a little bit about that and how this kind of weaves into what you're trying to accomplish down there at this time of year.
Sure. I mean, we've noticed that with the tax revenues, the fall has picked up overall on the Cape as well as in Orleans, so that's great. There are a lot of events, and with the Arts Foundation also partnering with the Cape Cod Chamber to promote Fall for the Arts at that time frame, that has definitely helped continue the momentum from the summer. It's not the same as what we experienced in July and August, although sometimes I think business owners they're kind of happy to see it die down a little bit, but nobody wants it to have it totally go away. Luckily for us in Orleans, the town stays busy until December. Christmas time is a great time when people come back to use their seasonal homes for Thanksgiving through to Christmas Day or even until New Year's. So, you know, we enjoy having the ClamBQ, and we have all of our events happening from September until the beginning of December for that very reason.
In many ways, when we do stories and talk with tourism officials about the summer tourism season, the summer kind of takes care of itself a little bit, right? I mean,
yes.
And it's really those shoulder seasons of the fall and the spring that you really have to boost things up. I know that after the recession and such, there was obviously a big marketing effort for the Cape, but in many ways, the Cape kind of gets at capacity in the summer. So there's really not. Am I wrong on that? There's really not a need to do a ton of promotion because
That's right.
we're kind of promoting ourselves, if you will.
That's right. Whenever we do anything promotion-wise for Orleans, we try to focus our efforts in between September to December, and then also we produce a magazine which we make sure is out for Memorial Day weekend.
If you're just joining us today on the Sunday Journal, we're talking about a fun event coming up in Orleans on the 26th of September. It is the 4th annual ClamBQ in Orleans. It's kind of a funny thing to say. ClamBQ, it's fun.
Yes, people remember the name.
I know, it's fun. ClamBQ, and as you said, Noelle, and if you're just joining us, by the way, our guests are Noelle Pina, the Executive Director of the Orleans Chamber of Commerce, and the Chair of the Board, Erik Oliver, also helping to plan the event. And what did you call him, a bake master?
Yes, he's one of our bake masters. They're local from Orleans, and they do the clam bake for that day, so
Gotcha.
they cook them the whole day.
Are you doing a big? How's the clam bake going to work, Erik? Tell us about that.
Well, in previous years at the Oddfellows Hall, they allowed us to actually put an authentic pit with the stones.
So you could actually
create
dig
the fire.
You dug a pit?
We
did in the past.
We
yes.
did in the past.
Well, they're probably not going to let you dig in the middle of Eldridge Park.
No,
they are
not. That would be bad.
So it won't be a pit style, but we will be doing lobsters and corn, potatoes,
right.
and clams in pots.
And the good thing is that with the pit, we had to serve the clam bakes in a particular time frame. However, now with us steaming them, they'll be available all day. And we'll have a lot more to offer because the pit limits the amount of lobsters you can put on it.
And they'll come out at once usually, too.
Yes.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
Whereas now, for customer service, it's a great thing. We can sell tickets if someone walks in the door and they want a clam bake. They can have a clam bake, which is great.
Now, barbecue-wise, you've got folks from Big Dog's Barbecue, right? They're relatively new. It's
Orleans Bowling Center.
Yeah, and unfortunately, the owner's name just slipped right out of my head.
Dave Courier.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Dave has become kind of the barbecue master down there in Orleans, hasn't he? I mean, that place has exploded in popularity.
Yes, it definitely has. He had a great review in the Cape Cod Times, I guess, within the first 6 months of him opening. And they're up there on Yelp and they're up there on TripAdvisor, two of the major review sites that people go to when they're making the decision of where they'd like to go have dinner.
It's kind of interesting. You know, when you come to the Cape, I think when people come visit, I'm sure we all get visitors, at our homes, right? All of us have the family and the friends who you've never seen who suddenly show up, on the weekends. But, when they come down to the Cape, they want, take me to a clam shack or take me to get fish. This and kind of as a local, sometimes can we get something else besides
yes.
just fish? But it's great to have that kind of varied restaurant down there in Orleans because I'm a huge barbecue fan, and I'll be honest, there's not a lot of barbecue on the Cape,
right?
So I think he's probably filling a real nice niche down there.
He is. Yeah. The people in town love him. He's busy all the time. So
now, is he going to bring a smoker out, or what? How does he do his barbecue? What do we know?
He's smoking it at the restaurant,
right?
So he says smoked to perfection, and then he'll be bringing it down to the site.
Nice. Now, this all gets underway at 11:30 on the 26th, and it's really an all-day thing, so you can kind of come and go as you please, right? You don't have to be there for the whole thing. So you're expecting that actually be food available throughout that whole time period, hopefully? Yeah, that's good. Now, let's talk about the bands. You got some really great local bands. Sarah Swain and the O-Boys, the Rip It Ups, and the Chandler Travis Philharmonic. I'm sure most people know about those.
Well, Chandler couldn't make it because he has to go to a wedding.
Oh, come on now.
I know. So we'll have Digny Figness there in his place.
Yeah. So you got three great local bands, and you're going to kind of space that out over the whole over the whole time period from 11:30 on. Yeah.
Sarah Swain kicks off at 12:30. She plays until 2.
She's good.
Yeah. Then we have a half-hour break, and actually DJ Matty Dredd from WOMR up in P-Town,
right.
He'll fill in between for half an hour. Then we have the Rip It Ups. They'll be at 2:30 till 4, and then 4:30 Digny Figness will play until 6.
Now, in addition to that, you're going to have some other aspects of this available, not just the food and the music, right? I see here hay rides, some face painting, inflatables, things like that.
Yeah, one of our main goals is to keep this family-friendly but also parent-friendly. I have a 2-year-old son, and I understand it's great to go to places where there are kids' activities to keep them busy so that parents can enjoy their time, too. Sure. So all the kids' activities are free. Sparky's Hay Rides will be there. We'll have crafts. We'll have 4 different inflatable games, not bounce houses, but games the kids can play. We'll have free face painting and then free fingernail polish. From one of the image makers, one of our sponsor salons.
So is everything happening right on the ball field, basically, in Eldridge Park? Right on the ball field, huh?
Yeah.
It's a great location. The Pops in the Park was great just a couple weeks ago as well. So it's such a great location to have an event in Orleans. Today on the Sunday Journal, we're talking about the ClamBQ, the Orleans Food and Music Festival that's taking place on Saturday, September 26th. Now, in terms of the revenue from this is going back into the chamber, obviously, to be able to do the work that you do as a nonprofit.
Right, and we also
Orleans,
we make a scholarship donation to the Ed Gill Memorial Scholarship Fund. Ed was a well-known Orleans resident and big in the running scene. Mm-hmm. So his wife has been very active on the committee from the beginning, and we make a donation to the scholarship fund, and then also the funds go to helping us continue to provide referrals to businesses, help visitors find their way, tell them what time low tide is and where to go to get the best lobster roll, all that stuff that we do. By the way, so you're having a cornhole game. And yes. I've become quite the master at that game, by the way. I'd like to throw that out there to the public that, we have a cornhole game for our radio stations that we take out to promotional events. And it's kind of funny. It's funny how things, everything that's new or old is new or whatever, because the game's been around forever. Yes. I played that game as a kid on the schoolyard, but now it's all of a sudden it's the hottest thing you can play. We have multiple boards, too. It's not just one. So we have like 3 or 4 of them out there. So you could challenge people maybe to a cornhole contest. People kind of it's there. People can do whatever they want to with it throughout the day. Let's talk a little bit more about just generally business in Orleans, because it does tie into what we're talking about, because as we said a few moments ago, Noelle, is that this is a way to continue the summer tourism season, if you will, into the fall. The weather's great. I mean, we love the weather in September. Those of us who live here, we know that. I mean, yes. Talk about a spectacular time. Plus, it's a little quieter, Mm-hmm. But let's kind of snapshot it, if you will. How was summer in Orleans? How would you say it was? Well, the tax numbers, the meals and rooms tax hasn't been released by the state. So we won't really know 100% until those numbers come out, but I do have some good indicators. I looked at the rooms tax this year that was reported up until March, and Orleans was already almost where we were at year to date for the entire year, wow. Fiscal year previously. Yeah, we were only $5,000 off. Wow. So to just let your audience know, Orleans collects roughly around $200,000 a year in rooms tax. Right. We don't have a big resort there, but we do have great B&Bs and things that differentiate our town from other places to come and stay. And the other thing that's gone on as well is, along with Big Dog's Barbecue, we've had a number of interesting restaurants move into town. The Knack is a great take on the traditional Cape roadside stand. Then we've had Sunbird. People, have known them from their food truck in Wellfleet. The corner store just opened. They have an actual brick and mortar now in Orleans? Yes, they do. Oh, wow. And the meals tax, Orleans started collecting in 2008. So at that time, it was about $211,000. We're now collecting about $311,000 to $315,000 in meals tax a year. Then that's a testament to the restaurants. This is the local option, right? Yes, a local option tax. On the state meals tax, people who aren't familiar, there's a state meals tax, which is 5 something, or it's I think it's like 5.75 or something like that. And then towns in Massachusetts have the option to individually add the local option, which I think most on the Cape have done at this point. And that money stays locally, right? The local meals tax, and use that to continue to promote the region, so you kind of reinvest that money. Right, exactly. By the way, did you say the corner store's down there? Yes, they are. Yeah, they opened a second location on Main Street. So it's been a pretty good summer then, do you think, for Orleans in general? I think so. You know, as I've been talking with the local merchants, retailers, hoteliers, those that are savvy marketers that have kept up with what's required of an entrepreneur in 2015, they're doing really well. They are happy with business, and they're happy with the town. Of course, when you ask them what's their number one issue, and it's the same as everybody else on the Cape, which is workforce. And that's whether you're in P-Town or Falmouth. Everybody's looking for people to work for them. And it's hard, and it's something that we've talked about. Us local chambers, all the executive directors, we get together about maybe 9 times a year, and we're talking about how do we work on that together as a group. And I'm sure the Cape Cod Chamber, they're definitely aware, and they're working working on it now. So
it's being a resident of the Lower Cape myself. I think it's almost more acutely problematic on the Lower Cape when it comes to the employment issue.
Yes, definitely. Well, I mean, we know the age figures, what the average age is. Once you get out there, I'm in my 30s, and sometimes I look around and I'm like, wow, am I the only one here?
It's interesting and to a degree, not necessarily a good statistic, but I know that Orleans was kind of looked at when the demographic studies were coming out a couple of years ago, that Orleans had just a terrible drop in population 25 and under. It was a huge percentage. So that impacts your workforce, bottom line.
Yes. Recently I actually met with David Augustino at the Workforce Investment Board. He gave me some economic numbers. And over the last 5 years, the numbers of families moving back to the region in their 35 and under has increased slightly. So that's a good indicator that things possibly are going in a better direction for Orleans. It
is. In fact, we did a story recently, I believe it was within the Barnstable school system, that they actually are kind of they've stopped the declines, if you will, in terms of the total amount of student population. So maybe there's a bit of a slowdown of that. Eric, as we said, you're the chair of the board. In terms of your business is Wash Safe, and how
That's correct.
Business for you guys? What's your business down there in Orleans?
Our business, there are two things. We have a service division where we're manufacturers of different paints, stains, and coatings, as well as environmentally friendly cleaning products that get rid of mold on the exterior of houses and red cedar roofs, etc. So we have a service division where we actually utilize these products, but then we also have distribution across the United States for wholesale and retail, as well as an importer in Canada.
Workforce for you guys, how is it? Is it tough sometimes to find that right workforce?
Yeah, it has been a challenge. It's been a challenge to find people that are willing to do the type of work in hot temperatures and rain, etc. So it has been a little bit of a challenge.
Well, this event is a way to bring everybody together on the 26th and continue to promote Orleans. We're just about out of time. We've been talking with folks from the Orleans Chamber of Commerce. Noelle Pina is the executive director, and Erik Oliver is the chair of the board. The event is the 4th annual ClamBQ in Orleans, the Orleans Food and Music Festival. It all takes place right at Eldridge Field. Noelle, the logistics here, what do people need to know? Tickets, etc.
Sure. So tickets can be found at ClamBQ.com or on our website, orleanscapecod.org. And general admission is $10. General admission plus barbecue is $25. General admission plus clam bake is $35, which is a great rate for a clam bake at events.
Pretty good deal.
Yes. Kids 12 and under, general admission is free. And we'll have, besides the clam bakes and the barbecue, we're going to have at least 6 other restaurants on site selling sandwiches, pizza, clam chowder. Cisco Brewers and Truro Vineyards will be available at our beer and wine garden. All the kids' activities are free, and we have enough things to keep kids busy for at least 4 hours.
Sounds good. We're looking forward to it. It is taking place on Saturday, September 26th. The ClamBQ, the Orleans Food and Music Festival. Eric and Noelle, thanks so much for coming down today and chatting with us about it. And have a great event coming up this month.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for being with us today. On the Sunday Journal, I'm your host, Matt Pina.
This podcast is a presentation of Cape Cod Broadcasting, which is solely responsible for its content. Thank you for listening. For more information, please visit us at capecodbroadcasting.com.